We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Life is a Chad YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. I've been wanting to do this video for a while. You guys know, those who have been subscribed to my channel for a while, that a lot of the a lot of my videos that I have done have been critiquing these like tradcon e-girl thoughts. I would say that's probably at least 10% of my videos. And I'm glad that I do it. They have to be exposed. They don't get exposed enough, and it's my pleasure to do so. I first saw this channel when I was on X, and there was some videos that were dropped regarding Trump and his campaign. I don't remember if it was before or after he won, but these girls were brought up. I think it was after, actually. They were brought up probably after and before, actually. They were brought up to give a discussion, and obviously from a biblical point of view, and they have their own YouTube channel, Lone and Behold. And the channel is called, wait for it, Girls Gone Bible. And yes, I'm sure that that is a pun from the early 2000s VHS, or not VHS, DVD Girls Gone Wild show, where they would go obviously on spring break and go to these colleges and find these ratchet, naughty girls to do ratchet, naughty things. And I actually did do a video on that because one of those girls that was on a Girls Gone Wild DVD ended up suing, and there's a documentary being released on it. So check that video out. But that is their channel. They're called Girls Gone Bible. And the particular video we're going to watch is them discussing sex before marriage and sex out of wedlock. But I do, just to show you guys the content. But before we do, I want to give kind of my breakdown and my thoughts on girls in kind of this like conservative Christian tradcon space. But before we do that, I want to ask you guys to consider smashing that subscribe button. We're so damn close to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get it there. Let's get this channel over that threshold. Um, and at the very least, like, comment. You guys know the drill. And without further ado, let's get into this. So, number one, I've said time and time again that I do not believe that traditional women should be on the internet. What do I count as being traditional? Well, a traditional woman is somebody who adheres to some sort of traditional norms, whether it be Muslim, whether it be Christian, whether it be Jewish. I mean, whatever the case may be, they adhere to a traditional cultural standard and practice that has an outline of how they are supposed to be as a gender, as a sex. Now, these girls are Christian, and so am I. I'm an Orthodox Christian. By the way, they happen to be non-denominational, I believe. Shocker. All these girls in the Christian tradcon space are non-denominational, which I'll get to momentarily. But regardless of sola scriptura, regardless of, because that always plays a role in this, which maybe I'll revisit here momentarily. The Bible is clear on what the expectations are for a woman. Okay, a woman is only supposed to lead other women. And really realistically, it's only certain women that do that. It's always going to be usually an older woman that mentors women that are younger than her. Preferably, it's going to be a woman that has already had kids, that's married, and can provide that real expertise to the generations that are coming up after her. Okay. So that's, as far as leadership goes, that's that. But in general, they're soft, they're nurturing, they're feminine. Feminine means soft, nurturing, modest, things like that. Okay. Obviously, they don't have sex out of marriage. They protect their virtue. That is a massive part of being traditional. So that is what traditional means to me. And so, as far as the modest aspect goes, and as far as the leadership aspect goes, no truly traditional woman, Christian traditional woman, is going to be on the internet teaching really in general, but I can see like some avenues in which they can come and maybe not teach, but share their thoughts, maybe, but certainly not on Christianity. Okay. Definitely not on Christianity. Now, it would be one thing, and I would be more open to this if, because I think I've seen this from like Rachel Wilson, who's Andrew Wilson's wife, maybe I think Jay Dyer's wife. If they come on and most of what they discuss are like female topics from a Christian perspective, that I would be more okay with. So that's just what it is. If you are coming on and you're not doing those things and you're going on the Trump campaign and you're speaking towards men about your newfound, come lately in the past 2 years, Christian belief system, it is absurd. Even if you had been a Christian your whole life, it is not proper for a woman to come on and uh, share their ideas and give their interpretation biblically um, at all. Okay, it's just not. Even for a lot of men, that's not acceptable. You know, if you're a new Christian, and this is what I've heard people say, like Andrew Wilson, I've heard him say about Nala, and a lot of other traditional men. Um, if you are a newfound Christian, the number one thing that you need to do is to reserve yourself and truly walk in line with God and in your faith outside of the public eye, not having it documented for all to see and making tons of money on. Okay. You're certainly not doing that, which brings me to another point. You know, a lot of these women, they come on and they're able to monetize because they also end up, they're also not ugly. I always call them non 300 pound modern attractive women because any other point in history where obesity was not as big of a thing, they would just be an average woman. But now, because obesity is a thing, they appear more attractive than they are. Because men are such simps, um, imps, these women are able to come on or create a channel and almost immediately monetize their new found walk with God. But they're not actually monetizing the Christian aspect. They're really only that's kind of like an external thing. They are monetizing in much of the same way as an OF creator girl would be. And that is the thing that a truly Christian woman, a truly modest, traditional woman would realize. And I should have said this in my statement of what traditionalism is. A truly modest, traditional woman understands her value as a woman, not like overly so, not like most modern women where they have this way inflated sense of self-worth, but they understand that in kind of like an empathetic manner, the power that their beauty holds over men, and they don't try and weaponize it or use it and utilize it to their own means and advantage monetarily. Okay, so that's like one of the biggest things that when I see these channels that I really, really, really dislike because they are, whether they're doing it nefariously or not, they are weaponizing their God-given gift of being a woman and being soft on the eyes, and they're benefiting from these boomer men that just throw money but somehow think it's better because it's a Christian channel rather than OF. Okay. And that's why I always say, guys, for those of you guys who have watched my channel um, from the beginning, this is why I always say you should not watch female content creators because most of you, if you're being honest with yourselves, and I have fell victim to this myself, okay, I'll be totally honest. And I'm a pretty masculine man that tries to not to avoid things like this. But if you're being honest with yourself, you are watching these channels because you find the chick attractive. And everything else is just kind of external from the fact that you find her attractive. Because a simple methodology to see that this is true is okay, if a man were to say that these same exact things, would I be more likely to watch it, the same, or less likely? And 9 times out of 10, it'd be less likely. How do we know this? Because there's all kinds of male channels. And yes, men do tend to do better in content creation and specifically political avenues because they are more articulate and they are better at explaining it. But there are all types, for every couple of channels that are successful, there are all types of channels that don't have that sort of reach because they are men and they don't have the added benefit of having these boomer men, simp for them and watch them merely because of that. So at the end of the day, a lot of these purported traditional women are on here and they are absolutely taking advantage of their looks. And so just like from a meta perspective, this is something that the right wing has really started to promote. Because they know these right wing media companies, they know that this is true. They know if they put some semi attractive bimbo on their channel purporting semi traditional things, that they're going to get a lot of views. Have you seen Brett Cooper? Brett Cooper left, and Daily Wire thought that they could just slide another semi-attractive girl into her place. And I don't know how the numbers are, but the fact that they would even think that they could do that says a lot. And the fact that somebody like Brett Cooper even has the amount of subscribers that she has, I think says a lot. And I'm not trying to throw shade at Brett Cooper. A lot of you guys have asked me to do a talk on her, and I actually have in I did a talk on her when she was leaving Daily Wire. It wasn't as direct as I'm doing now for Girls Gone Bible. But the thing is, guys, is at the end of the day, this is just not traditional. Okay, a truly traditional woman is not going to get on YouTube and be somebody that all these different men. I guarantee, if you were to look at these girls' numbers, their subscriber count, I guarantee that at least 70% of their subscribers are male. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So They wouldn't be doing that. They wouldn't be coming in the public eye. They wouldn't be in front of, a 70% male audience. To tell you the truth, they probably wouldn't even really be trying to talk politics because that's not really that feminine. That's not really that traditional. Instead, they would be fostering and looking to talk about more feminine things. And then you add the monetary aspect, them making their money, making money off of this, a lot of money. That they're newfound Christians within the last couple of years, and all of this. I also did say I said I was going to mention this, the non-denominational thing. We see this on the Whatever podcast. I've talked about this time and time again, exposing these fake TradCon girls. 9 times out of 10, these women are non-denominational Christians. And it makes sense because within the Catholic faith, and I used to be Protestant, and I would count non-denominational as Protestant, but they don't have a structure that is put in place that is patriarchal. And so they don't have pushback in the non-denominational realm for what they're doing. There is nobody providing said pushback. So they're able to slide right in because there is no buffer. There's no checkpoint saying, no, I would rethink this. This is not, this does not fit within the parameters of our worldview. And in general, again, just going with the whole concept of traditionalism, what traditionalism is within a Christian framework, it is patriarchal. That's like the number one thing that is uh, the number one foundational thing from at least where I'm coming from regarding why this is not acceptable. And so because of that, all of these things hold true. Because of that, it is not the best thing for these women to come out here and start this channel where they're having all kinds of advertisements, and it's become this business, much like these mega churches, and it's just really slimy, honestly. So, all right, like I said, shocker, it's non-denominational. Let's go ahead and check out their channel right quick. Actually, before we do, because I keep pausing it, and I want to get every piece of meat off this bone. Again, and I can't believe I missed this. A truly traditional woman, instead of having a business for a YouTube channel, they would instead be at their utmost trying to find a husband and trying to foster a family and trying to have children. You know, Rachel Wilson always says that it's the modern way of things is inverted. It's backwards. These young women are focusing on their career. Meanwhile, they're losing their prime time to find the best man possible, and they're losing their prime time to with their eggs and to have kids, and then when they hit 30 and they hit the wall, they all of a sudden want to do it, but they've lost all that time and they're now older. And yes, I mean, it is what it is. This is the order of things that God put into place. But uh, in previous times, women would do that first. And then after their kids were older, they would be able to become mentors and do more creative things in a feminine manner. And that's what we need to get back to. Nobody's saying that women can never have hobbies and things like that and do things that they are interested in, but these things need to take a back seat, because at the end of the day, the world of vocation and the workplace is nasty. It's dirty. It's rough. This is men's province. I don't know if you guys recently. I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy again, and in the Return of the King, one of the characters, it's I think it's the nephew of the king, for the Rohan people, and he's the guy that first he's the guy that Aragon is the first one. He's the guy that Aragon meets first. Sorry, guys. When they're in the hills and he's with his people and he's on his horse and he ends up giving the horse to Aragon. And so, anyways, that's the guy, and he's the nephew, and I think it's his sister is the blonde chick that kind of has a um, uh, she believes it's a crush on Eragon, but in reality, she has a crush on what he represents. And when um, the one of the hobbits uh wants to not it's not Pippin, it's the other one, wants to go off to war in that second to last battle. He says you shouldn't encourage him because he's so small. It's he's gonna get brutalized out there, which is, honestly, that was a very truthful thing to say. I mean, it kind of is. Um, Fairy tale to think that a 4 foot tall person against orcs would not be the case. But I digress. Um, Mary, I think his name is, and she responds back and says, no, why can't he do it? As he has as much right to do it as any other man does, and he knows that she's speaking about herself, and he says to her, I think her name is Erwin, that he talks about the brutalities of war, and he says that that war is the province of men. And so, sorry for that long, drawn out way of saying that. I wanted to give you guys the proper context. And so, again, the workplace is the province of men. Okay. And so, women honestly don't need to be in that. There's so many other better things they can do with their time. And we need to change this inversion that this grotesque society has placed on us, this feminist, non-Christian, non-traditional society has placed on us. And at the core, that is what I'm saying is, if you're truly traditional, you want to push back against the status quo of modernism, because modernism is antithetical to traditionalism. You don't want to be an NPC that is doing all the same exact things and sliding right into the role and norm and world that modernism thrusts you in. All right. Anyways, let's check out this clip here. Again, it's called Girls Gone Wild. Nope, disregard. Girls Gone Bible. And let's check this out. So, look at these girls. They're young. They would just be so much better off finding, and they're decently attractive. They would be so much better off searching for a husband and starting their family rather than doing this bullshit, honestly. But let's check this out. Oh, Lord.
What's up, big girl?
What's up, Bobby?
So where were you? Where'd
Well,
you get that coffee?
I don't know. Oh, I got this next to my house, this new little coffee shop.
All right. So yeah, they're, classic suburban, white, white whammon, all the girls I went to high school with and all the girls I've dated. Um, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They are they fit right in line with all that. Let's go to the main thing. That this video is them talking about sex before marriage, and just so you guys know, they did have sex before marriage, which they admit in this video, which again, I would not want to advertise on a YouTube channel as a traditional woman. Spoiler.
I don't even know how to express. I don't even have the words to. I wish Jesus himself could come down and tell us what he thinks about it so it could get into our heads, because that's how bad it is. It tears you apart. Yeah. I'll just speak from experience in saying that, I It's funny because we were just saying how in the first purity episode it was really, really hard to talk about. And now it's so much easier because, just with a little bit of time, I remember we didn't want to talk about it too soon. It is just absolutely insane. What I've experienced even in my own life, in like I have been in long-term relationships since I was young, and intimacy before marriage was always a part of my relationships, and I have no shame in saying that. I didn't know. Like there was no culture around me of anybody pursuing purity. And what the
I highly doubt that that's true. Um, in my suburban upbringing, Christianity was very much around. All these women know that it's an option to not have sex before marriage, but the thing is that, obviously being fairly attractive, they got a lot of attention. They probably hung out with certain girls, certain cliques, things like that, and so they just naturally slid in to that world. Just right off the bat, and when I first saw this, this is immediately what I thought, and it came into my mind again. A lot of these non-traditional, newfound, or excuse me, non-traditional works too, but non-denominational women that slide into Christianity, they end up making Jesus their boyfriend. They end up making God their boyfriend, and that's not what it's meant to be. God is meant to be God, okay, not your stand-in boyfriend. And this is what you find a lot with these like Protestant and non-denominational sectors. They morph God into whatever they're missing, whatever is presenting a void in their life.
internal turmoil, the emotional chaos that I have experienced, the broken hearts that I've experienced through these long term relationships ending that I was being intimate in. And on top of it, I have lived with boyfriends while being like, it's just all, I've done that twice where I've lived with someone. And those breakups after 2 years, after 4 years, can you imagine what happened to my heart?
Fuck, how old are they? Damn. If I had to guess, they're probably like 26, 27. That would be my guess. They might be early 30s, actually. You know what? Let me pause this and get that figured out. Holy shiznits. This makes it even worse. As of August 2023, Ariella, look at New York Post. Sexy Girls Gone Bible Stars slam for Christian podcast. Rietzma, I think it's the one that was talking, is 33 years old, and Angela is 27. Holy crap, dude. Wow. I think this is the 33-year-old. Let's see. Uh, but some say the pair are using the Lord for their personal gain. Yes, I'm definitely one of those. The pair are pictured together left. Haley is seen at the right. So this is Haley. What the fuck? God, all these fucking ads, dude. Huh. I thought that that was the other one. Rietzma. So this is Haley? I think that this is her. I could be wrong. Anyways, let's get back to this. 33 and 27. So I think this might be
What
Haley.
happened to my soul. Like we're sitting there, you guys, and we're pretending like we're married to these people with no actual commitment, no spiritual covering. You're not actually in covenant with God to where
Oh
you're
my gosh,
protected in that. You have no
I cannot believe I didn't say this already. Just so you're aware, they also have a tour. Okay. They have a live tour where tickets are sold. In what world do they have anything, any sort of entertainment, any anything that would be worth buying a ticket for and seeing live that you could not see? It's just crazy. But again, yes, they are using their newfound relationship with Christ as a means to make money. 1,000%. Damn, it's gonna bug me, my OCD. Which one is so? This is Ariella here in a very skimpy one piece. but because it's a one piece, somehow it's better. And I have worn some questionable things. I've posted some questionable things. I thought there was a time in my life where I thought that being provocative was empowering. Angela Halili. So that's Angela. So yes, I think this is Angela, and I think this is Haley on the right. All right, let's get back to it, y'all. We're gonna wrap this up soon. I
Old
gotta
legal
get
binding
your boys. Got to get to the gym.
that like enforces any sort of commitment. Someone can like up and leave you in 2 seconds. I mean, it is just absolutely wild the world that we live in, that this is
Yeah, you're talking about modernism that feminism and women have created,
what's normal. And if you really think about it, people can think that Christians are the
and them boys.
weirdest people all they want, for pursuing purity and abstaining from sex. But if you actually look at it, how does it make sense to do the most sacred act ever of all time, the most spiritually, emotionally, and physically binding thing you can do with someone? It is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous to do that outside of marriage. There is no covering. And inside of marriage, it is the most beautiful thing that literally God, it's worship. Like God, Maddie said that it's worship. God is in you while you do it. It's the number one way. Chad Veach said,
Yeah, God is in you when you do it. But I shouldn't joke about that. But I understand. She said it wrong. I wouldn't say God is in you. I mean, obviously you have the Holy Spirit. Um, God is around in a way that I think is nearly impossible to articulate. But in you. Anyways, I'm being a little critical there.
that's how he fights spiritual warfare with his wife. If there's an attack on their marriage, that's a way to fight spiritually, to bind yourselves back together, to say to the devil, no, you're not tearing this apart. We're coming together the way that God intended. But outside of marriage, it is the most dangerous, harmful thing you can do to yourself.
And not only that, how can you know if you truly love this person?
GGB, run, don't walk, all day deal. One pot, that be really nice point. The person off.
Then bring sex in it outside of marriage. You are so clouded and blinded by the lust. You don't know if that's real love. Of course, you're going to think you love this person. You're having sex. It's a dopamine hit. You're on a high. Feelings getting involved.
Well, yes, women think that. Yes, 1000%, which is why in a patriarchal structure, fathers knew this. They knew that this is what happens to women when they have sexual relations. They get attached. They obviously didn't know the scientific aspect of it, the scientism of it, but they didn't need to because it was their nature, it was their essence, and they would protect, they would safeguard women from themselves.
Of course that. So you will never know.
But now we don't have that. And now you end up having these women that make these decisions and they're 33, 27 years old. They've been entered by X amount of guys. They still don't have a husband to show for. And here we are.
If it's truly love. And that's why the divorce rate is so high. And that's why you get into marriage. And then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, this isn't my person, because you are so clouded with the lust. That's why you take sex out of it and you just lead with you and the person, and you get to know each other on a spiritual level, God's way. That's when you know if something's real. That's when you know if something's from God. But the minute you put sex and you start doing things out of gourd,
I call him gourd all the time, God Lord.
The minute you start doing things out of the will of God, God cannot have his hand on it. You are blinded. You are clouded. That is why everything is so messed up in today's society. That's why we are in 4 or 5 year long relationships and we are no ring on our finger. We all of a sudden after 5 years, he says, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't think I'm ready.
Oh, what are we talking about?
What are we doing?
Please.
What are we doing? What are we doing? And I'll talk about my own experience. I had never been more destroyed in my soul, in my life. I'm with this person for years, and then one day, boom, it ends. And then my heart is completely shattered. My mind is completely shattered, and I'm left completely alone with the person that I just gave everything to.
A whole wife without the ring.
I was a whole.
It's very interesting that they see it that way because, again, the modern woman, Christian or not, sees their only role 99% of the time. Of course, there are unicorns. I have not found, but you might. Um, they see their only role and really the main essence that they give and main resource that they give is their pussy, their sexuality. That is like the main thing. So to them, it's not a surprise that they say that they gave everything because they, of course, are really just talking about that they gave sex. Um, to the man. Now, I do agree with a lot of what they're saying here. This is why, these things are not good. By the way, this is very gynocentric. This whole fucking video, how they're talking, how they're speaking to one another, all of that. But again, women brought this on themselves. Okay, if women are the gatekeepers of sex. If they wanted to stop this and select safe, more quality men as opposed to more bad boy, risky men, then they would be able to do that. Also, man, I want to advise you and warn you against women like this who lived one way and then all of a sudden have a morph. And, I can almost guarantee that they view themselves as worthy as when they were 22 and had less bodies on the sexual marketplace. I would love to hear Myron or one of these red pill guys talk to these girls. I guarantee they see themselves as just as valuable as when they were 19, 20 years old. And no, they're not. And so by extension, they probably are demanding the same quality, probably even more quality man, even though they are not as quality and have more baggage now than before. And it's not a fair trade-off. In their minds, they think, oh, because I'm traditional now, because I'm, now I'm being less promiscuous and I'm waiting until marriage. Now, I'm not having sex out of wedlock. I forget the word for that. Uh, Now I'm super valuable. No, 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 no. You're still not a virgin. You still were entered by how many ever guys before. So, yeah.
A wife without the ring is right,
It's me too, baby.
And, although God is
Yeah, because being a wife is just having sex, right?
in everything and he used it for my good, he really did. And that's why when we talk about this, I don't want anyone to condemn themselves.
Yes.
I spent so
Abstinence was the word I was looking for. Abstaining.
like I spent many months just living in shame, and God took every piece that I went through and he redeemed me and he restored me, and he's still restoring me.
Yeah.
And that's the implication that I have to deal with living in sin.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
after that relationship ended and I was completely broken and I was just chasing the light. I had found Jesus right after my heartbreak and I was just chasing the light. I was in so much pain. And although he rescued me, I was still in such deep pain. My mind was everywhere. I was just so unwell. Like I was just unwell. And so as I was chasing Jesus, I just had this thought in my mind, well, I have to move on. I have to find somebody else. I have to move on. And so I wanted to get back out there, and then I started to date.
Chastity was the word also I was looking for. Celibacy.
I was just still searching because I felt like I had to move on now. And so I had no peace. And this is when I first started my journey. I had just started reading the Bible. Angela and I just started Girls Gone Bible. So I was very new.
And it's listen, everybody comes to God different ways. I don't want to critique this aspect as much, but it is still worth noting that and I would always have this in the back of my mind if I dated girls like this, where you're like, okay, it seems you really only found God because you were pumped and dumped by a Chad or a Tyrone, and now that's kind of like your reaction to that whole situation. But that one's a tough one because, like I said, everybody comes to God in different ways. And by the way, I do want to clearly state, overall, I am happy that they have found God. Okay, I don't want to critique that, um, but there are some elements, if they are being genuine in their walk with Christ, that is not accurate, and it needs to be pointed out.
I was learning, and I'm dating, and I have no peace. And I'm thinking, what is going on? I have no peace in my life. He was calling me into a season of complete singleness. And so many of us are operating in a place of loneliness. I was so lonely, and I was still chasing.
Oh my God. Only women can come up with these. This is like a very Protestant thing to say, too. He was calling me into a season of loneliness. I've never heard something like that before.
Something. And he was being like, you think you love me and you think you know me, and I know you're still getting to know me, but you really need to understand me. You really need to seek me. You're still searching in all these things when you need to search me.
Yeah, yeah.
For anyone who didn't read the story of the Samaritan woman, it's such a beautiful story. It probably relates to every single one of us. Jesus asked the woman for a drink. Sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can we get this living water? And Jesus answered, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water that I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. And so then the woman keeps questioning him, and I'm just going to skip down. The woman said, sir, give me this water so I won't get thirsty. And then he starts showing her that he's a Messiah. Why don't you call your husband to come back? She said, I have no husband. And Jesus said, you are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you have had 5 husbands, and the man that you are living with now is not your husband. What you said is quite true. And so in this, when I read this, he's not trying to shame her. He's just trying to tell her, the water that you are drinking, you're trying to go to all of these areas to fulfill. Now you're with a man you're living with that you're not even married to, that she's probably having sex with, and you're still not fulfilled. Yeah. And so many of us are operating out of a place of loneliness and brokenness. Half of the reason we're having sex is out of brokenness. Yeah. I know for me, I was giving myself to people in relationships because that's where I found my love. That's where I thought they would love me. Yeah. Yeah. And so when you grow up in the world and you don't know better, when you want to pursue purity, it's really hard to do that when you're already in a relationship. So God taking me out of the season where I'm trying to date and putting me into a season of complete singleness with him was the greatest gift that he had given me. And I was sitting there being like, oh, I have to be alone. This is uncomfortable. No.
All right, guys, I got to get going to the gym. I'm not laughing at the story. I'm laughing at their syllogisms, their phrases, syllogisms, that's the word, and their phrases. I find it funny. God called me into a season of singleness. Anyways, guys, like I said, I wanted to do this video for a while, and I wish these girls the best. This is not coming from a place of hate, or anything like that. It's, you know, it is coming from a place of love, actually, where, you still don't know what you don't know. And obviously, I'm not the first person to point some of these things out, as we saw from the New York Post article. I doubt that things are going to change because of how lucrative their channel is. They have 750,000 subscribers, guys. Okay. I guarantee 70% of them are men. And by the way, a lot of what I'm saying is not necessarily against them per se, as much as I'm critiquing the world that we currently inhabit, the conservative movement that we currently see, and the current state of traditionalism, and pointing out some of the inconsistencies with that currently, rather than just these 2 girls. And that's why I always say the videos that I do, when I react, it is not against the person or people directly. It is me using that as a jumping off point to use as an example and expound upon in a more meta conversation. All right, guys, thank you guys so much. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment. Y'all know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In fact, your feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, King. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.